Okay, China has enough vacant property right now, according to a report, to house over 90 million people. Or the entire population of Germany, larger than the population of France, according to the Financial Times. This entire discussion has come up because of Evergrande, something we've been talking about for the last couple of months in relation to Tether and the commercial paper that Tether might own or might not own in Chinese companies. And the last time we spoke about Evergrande was on episode 1280, back on September 9th. 11 days later, on Monday, September 20th, the Dow dropped, this was this Monday, as much as 971 points due to the fallout and the fear of contagion from Evergrande. It wound up only closing down 2%, but it felt a little panicky on Monday. An article published on Tuesday in the Financial Times revealed some shocking stats about China's real estate industry, capped off by the approximate $40 billion collapse of Evergrande, which could be much more. Again, China is very opaque. We don't know what's going on over there. Who knows the scale of the fraud or these bonds and the collapse? We'll find out over time, or maybe we'll never know. According to the article in the Financial Times, China's real estate sector is, quote, so overbuilt that it threatens to relinquish its longstanding role as the prime driver of Chinese economic growth and instead become a drag on it. Fascinating. Sound familiar? We had our own crisis over real estate. When real estate bubbles get going, it captures the imagination of the public. These houses start flipping, people start buying, and a mania quickly ensues. It looks like China is going through that. And, let me play a clip here. What you're going to see right now is the result of, I think, a lot of this being overbuilt. You're seeing 15 unfinished high-rise apartments in the southwestern Chinese city of Kunming being demolished before ever being used. It's pretty amazing to watch 15 giant buildings go down at once, especially when we're sitting here in America. I think we need 7 million more homes, and they're just knocking them down there by blowing them up. This video almost doesn't look real. It looks like some CGI of The Day After or some crazy dystopian, meteor hitting Earth. Who knows what exactly is going on here? Maybe there's something wrong with these buildings. Maybe they had foundation problems. Maybe people are not moving to that area. So it's hard to know when you see these videos. I always look at them with a bit of a questioning eye as to what's really going on here. But they're literally blowing up housing. According to the article, Chinese real estate industry accounts for 29% of the country's gross GDP. The 90 million number in the article came from calculation by Logan Wright, a director at Rhodium Group, which is a firm that sells independent research on China's financial and political landscape. Here is how Wright calculated the number. Because I always ask my team when we're doing research on this, the journalists will write stuff, people will share stuff on Twitter. Can we find where the original information came from and just maybe dig a little deeper as to where this came from? And here's how they came up with their calculation. Unsold housing inventory in China is approximately 3 billion square meters. 3 billion square meters can house 30 million families. The average family size in China is 3 people. So 3 times 30, 90 million people can be housed with 3 billion vacant square meters of real estate. And by the way, a country with 90 million people would be the 16th largest one in the world, bearing in mind that there are over 260 countries in the world. They sit right between Vietnam and the Democratic Republic of the Congo in terms of population. And according to the article, China's property growth at all cost model might be coming to an end quickly. Leland Miller, the CEO of China Beige Book, a firm that sells research on China to institutional investors, had the following quote: "The leadership in Beijing has been more worried about Chinese growth than anyone in the West. There is a recognition that the old build playbook does not work anymore, and that it's actually getting dangerous. The leadership now appears to be thinking that it can't wait any longer to change the growth model. We are all set for a roller coaster ride in policy and economic growth. I would not be surprised if a decade from now, China's GDP growth was 1 or 2%. So, just to give you an idea and some context around China, they've been growing their GDP year over year since 2000. To give some context on how rapidly China's GDP has been growing, From 2000 to 2009, China's GDP grew on average 10.4% per year. U.S. averages about 1.9% during that period. And the U.S. average was weighed down by the U.S. GDP, regressing by 2.5% from 2008 and 2009 during the peak of the housing crisis. So from 2010 to 2019, China's GDP grew an average of 7.6 per year. U.S. averaged 2.3% growth in the same time period, according to Macro Trends. So during that time period, from 2013 to 2018, China was responsible for 28% of the worldwide GDP, according to the International Monetary Fund. You know them as the IMF. That 28% of worldwide GDP growth was double the U.S. number. Obviously, China's growing fast. The Financial Times article highlights other major red flags in the Chinese real estate market. Land sales by local governments in China have collapsed, falling 90% year over year from September 2020 to September 2021. And according to the article, land sales generate about 1/3 of local government revenues in China. So now when we start talking about contagion, you can start to understand how this could all come apart. People were investing, and now maybe that housing isn't as needed. And basically the music stops. The revenues, obviously, when they sell this land, help pay the principal and interest on $8.4 trillion in debt issued by several thousand local government financing vehicles. These vehicles raise capital by issuing and selling bonds, from which they use the proceeds to fund infrastructure projects like overbuilding real estate. So the music is stopping. Feels like a giant house of cards. But in China, they can just print more money. They can do whatever they want. They can bail people out. And that means this probably will not be a Lehman Brothers type moment, the contagion that we saw here, because the CCP can just do whatever they want. It's one of the great aspects of being an authoritarian government. They can wipe out debt, they can print more money, and just basically do whatever they want without anybody's approval. It's a authoritarian country. So something to totally watch and keep an eye on, because this is going to have impact on the U.S. market.
Hey, everybody. I thought I would bring Christina Cacioppo. I pronounced it correct, I'm hoping, Christina?
You got it. Yep.
All right. You're the founder of Vanta. People have been hearing your ads on the pod for the last year. And I thought it'd be fun to have you on and you to explain why you created Vanta and what SOC 2 is and why it's important people get it right. So let's start with, what is SOC 2 for people who are just realizing they have to become SOC 2 compliant?
For sure. So SOC 2 is, at its high level, it's sort of a customer asking you to prove your security.
Now, these audit firms that you partner with, you prepare everything, but you still need to have an auditor. So who gets the auditor, you or the company that is engaging Vanta?
Yeah, absolutely. So one part of what we do at Vanta is we've built a network of audit firms, and there's a couple dozen we work with today. So we're happy to broker introductions, help companies kind of choose what sort of auditor or firm would be best for them. And then the other part of the pitch is, that auditor knows Vanta, understands and trusts our data. And so the audit will be faster and cheaper if one of our network firms are used.
All right, fantastic. Well, thanks so much for coming on and telling the audience why you should get your SOC 2, when you should get it, and how you should do it. And you've been very nice to our audience, giving them $1,000 off, which is a really significant and generous offer. Go to vanta.com/twist, vanta.com/twist to get $1,000 off your SOC 2. Thanks, Christina. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Cheers now.